this too, the chance of a tornado warning being active is lower. You do see that a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Mobile County that includes Citronelle, Georgetown, Sims, Saraland, Pritchard, Mobile Metro, the regional airport, Axis, are all included in that severe thunderstorm warning, and that's because the main threat, and it will continue to be, straight line winds. So you can see right here that the severe thunderstorm warning, look at the top there, it says until 10:30. So 10:30 is when the severe thunderstorm warning expires. I don't want to say good news. I think good news is the wrong phrase here, but it's a good sign whenever a warning is extended into another county, but it's not a tornado warning. That means the chance of storms rotating is decreasing, and the Weather Service is going along with that. But the reason why the severe thunderstorm warning was issued is because the winds are moving in a straight line. They can knock down trees and power lines with ease. So, for example, let's say you have a tree in your yard and it's an old tree. You get a wind gust of 70 miles per hour, even if it's in a straight line, not a tornado. Straight line wind of 70 miles an hour. It knocks over that tree, it lands on your roof, and you have significant damage. And a lot of people always confuse the two as to whether or not you're dealing with a tornado or a straight line wind because the wind is so intense. Notice the tornado warning has just gotten scaled back farther. The warning box is continuing to shrink as the confidence on that thing holding itself together is getting lower. Now that's good. Again, that's good news for us that we have not seen the tornado warning extended into parts of Mobile County, and it's only been converted into a severe thunderstorm warning. Only Agricola is underneath that warning, which is set to expire at 10:15. Personally, I think it's going to be expiring a lot sooner than that. I'll pull it up again on the radar, and you can get a good look at these storms. Now, just look how big the squall line is. This thing's massive. It's running from about Evergreen to Mount Vernon. Now, all of you that are behind this line of storms, Chatham, Millry, Jackson, Thomasville, hope you're enjoying your day because your severe threat is done. Your humidity is dropping. The weather's good. Leakesville, same for you. It's all good for you. Everything's fine there. Everyone else awaiting the front, you've got breezy winds out of the south. It's humid. And when the rain is on this line of storms is on top of you, you don't want to be on the road at all. Not only is the rain rate heavy, but you're dealing with 70-mile-an-hour straight line winds. For goodness sakes, you want to stay off the road. So just because there may not be a tornado warning in Mobile County, you still don't want to take a chance with these squall lines. And those of you who have lived here a long time, you know these things can be tough and they can mean business, and you've got to remember that. Now, this storm cell is over Shipman, Agricola, Mississippi Highway 612, and it's very close to the Alabama state line. Checking the velocity display again, and I'm just not seeing much there. I would say straight line winds is probably the big threat. Agricola dealing with a velocity. If you look at the bottom of that box, 62 miles an hour, that would be the equivalent of a strong tropical storm moving right over that section of George County. So I think the threat is becoming more of a straight line wind threat as opposed to a tornado threat. That's a good sign. And again, I think that one of the main reasons for that is that low that you see flashing is moving north away from us, and the storms are moving south. So as those two things are getting separated, you will start to see less of a threat from severe weather. And I think the main threat for severe storms the rest of the day after midday today will be for East Alabama and into Georgia, where you see that large tornado watch box. So we will keep an eye on this. I'm going to stay with it just a little while longer to see whether or not we get an extension of this tornado warning. I doubt we do, just simply because of what we're seeing right now regarding this storm. Let me pull up what's known as the correlation coefficient. And what that is in plain English is it is when you look for debris lofted off the radar. You look for debris that's lofted. I don't really see much with this, which is good. But still, with straight line winds, it'll be tough to differentiate between the two. Agricola right now, gosh, you look at where that bright color is, and then I pull up the correlation coefficient and you see it matching. That might be debris lofted off the radar right here where let me circle that right here, this section of Mississippi Highway 613. That would be debris off the radar if that is in fact an actual tornado on the ground. If there is one, it's definitely in that spot. No doubt about it. I'll pull back up the velocity display, and the question is whether or not that signature remains strong enough that we see it issued in Mobile County. And at this point, it's just a little uncertain, but you're still looking at a storm that's producing a massive amount of wind in addition to heavy rain and lightning. I'll go back to the way it looks on radar imagery, what's known as the reflectivity. They call it reflectivity because the radar beam goes in a straight line, and when it finds this data, it gets bounced back or reflected back. And the darker the color, the more reflection it's getting off the radar beam. So when you see these dark shades of red, there's more interference, there's more getting reflected back to the radar, and that's what correlates to heavy downpours of rain. That's why the colors are so dark when you get a torrential downpours, because the reflectivity is so intense off the radar. Now, Shipman to Agricola is where the nastiest storm is located. It's very close to Wilmer, Natchez Highway, Moffett Road, Georgetown, Wilmer, Georgetown Road, and we're just going to keep an eye on this thing within the next 7 minutes to see what it decides to do to whether or not Mobile County goes underneath a tornado warning. The reason we're staying with this is because, sadly, there is that chance. And if you're just joining us, I want to emphasize a couple of things again. I know we're all practicing social distancing, and we need to keep doing that. But if you're in a situation where your area is underneath a tornado warning, a life-threatening situation is happening, you got to temporarily suspend that to make sure you're in a place of shelter away from these storms. That is critical. But once the storms pass, you don't have to worry about severe weather during the afternoon or the rest of the week, and you can go back to resuming all of that social distance protocol. So we're going to continue watching this for the next 6 minutes. The warning itself from the Weather Service was originally set to expire at 10:15. I don't think it lasts till 10:15, just simply based on the location of where the storm is and where the velocity display is. The signature's core is located right around Agricola, but you don't see the greens and the reds together. And what I mean by that is the green color represents wind blowing to the radar, red means wind blowing away from the radar. That's why you see those two colors on a velocity display. See, here's the big picture, green, red. So green is to the radar, red is away from the radar. When you're trying to track a tornado and you see those colors connected, that would indicate a sign of rotation. That's how meteorologists follow these storms. Just got an update, the tornado warning. We do have a tornado warning, Mobile County. Mobile County has gone underneath a tornado warning, so we are going to stay with this. Notice it includes Wilmer, it includes Sims, it includes Pritchard, Saraland, Satsuma. Tornado warning till 10:45 for sections of Mobile County. Mobile County underneath a tornado warning until 10:45. Make sure, above all else, you are taking shelter with this. You're letting anyone know who is possibly in harm's way from this, that they know that they need to take action right now. That is by far the most critical thing that we are dealing with across our area. Right now I'm writing a post to my Facebook page, coverage on Fox, to let everyone know that they need to be watching our coverage. We're streaming it to Facebook Live. We're also on all of our social channels. If you're just joining us, tornado warning till 10:45 for this section of Mobile County. Now, I know in Mobile County we have the siren system. The sirens sound for the entire county, but I want to emphasize that not everyone in Mobile County is in immediate danger. Only people that are in the red box are in immediate danger, or what is known as the polygon. Pritchard, Saraland, Satsuma, 8 Mile, Sims, Wilmer, Big Creek Lake, Magnolia Grove. This is what we're watching. This section of Mobile County. If you're up in Gulf Crest or Citronelle, you are not, as of now, in danger. Downtown Mobile, not in danger. Dawes, Biola Battery, Grand Bay, not in danger. Only areas that are in the red box, the polygon, are what we're really going to be watching and keeping our eye on over the next several minutes. Millertown, Cushla, 8 Mile, Tolmanville, Midtown, Saraland, we mentioned that. Sections of Celeste Road, up towards Celeste Road, are underneath this tornado warning. The storm is continuing to march its way eastward, and the Weather Service thinks that that velocity we were looking at earlier is tight enough to keep the tornado warning going. So that's what they've decided to do, and that's what we're going to keep staying with. Everyone else, I know if you're watching us in Uriah right now, I know the weather's nasty. Lightning's popping, rain is falling, winds are showing up at about 70 miles an hour, but they're in a straight line. The biggest danger right now is this tornado threat that's moving into Mobile County. That's why we're on the air. We're going to stay on the air as we continue to watch this. Make sure you're in a safe place. Let me reemphasize what those are. Lowest level of your home, away from doors and windows. First floor bathroom, hall closet. If you live in an apartment, I hope you're friends with someone on the first floor. Go to the first floor. That's where you need to be. And as mentioned, I know everyone's trying to practice social distancing. Disregard that for the next 45 minutes and get yourself into a safe place. This is covering a very large population of our area. Sims, Saraland, Satsuma, 8 Mile, Sims, Wilmer, Midtown Mobile, Tolmanville. Everyone in this area needs to be in shelter as we continue to watch this storm. Now, let's say that there's no actual tornado moving through. Well, that would be great, but you're still going to be looking at a wind threat that's at least Category 1 hurricane strength. Let me pull up the velocity display again, and you can see that the possible tornado would be located right in this area where you got this bright green color right there near Natchez Highway. Now, the projected wind speeds off of that velocity display are around 57 miles per hour. So you're looking at possibly a strong tropical storm force wind from that system. The rotation is very broad, but it's enough that the Weather Service feels a tornado warning needs to be in play. But essentially, this bright green dot is what we're staying on the air for. If there's a tornado, that's it. And that's what we're going to keep watching, is that dot as it works its way eastward, and it's getting very, very close to parts of Wilmer. Now, the storm itself is moving very, very fast. The storm is moving at about, the Weather Service is saying it's moving east at 40 miles per hour. 40 miles per hour. So I'm going to go back and draw the locations on the storm track and let you see how soon it's going to take for this storm to possibly reach your area. So 40 miles an hour out of the east, and you're looking at locations at Sims about 1012. So 1012 it would be in Sims. 1024 it would be in Saraland. 1042 in Gravine Island. And again, these are just based on the radar estimates. They're not exact times, but that still gives you a good head start on getting to your safe place. So Saraland, you've got a good 20 minutes to get in shelter before that storm moves over your area. And everyone needs to be doing that. I know a lot of you are working from home. A lot of you are not doing your normal routine. Obviously, school has been canceled for a lot of people for the rest of the year. So really, you need to make sure you're taking this threat seriously. We are still going to be, I got a report from the mayor of Thomasville. Now remember, Thomasville did not see a tornado warning, but they had a massive straight line wind threat. They have trees and power lines down in several areas up along Highway 154. We've gotten reports of that. Alabama Power's on the scene. And we may only see straight line winds from that, but then again, we may not. This may be something that is actually producing a tornado, and we'll continue to do that as we watch this for the next 30 to 40 minutes. And along that I-65 corridor, if you're in Sims, your time is running out. You probably got another 5 to 10 minutes before the storm is over you. This is for locations north of the regional airports. So Mobile County, if you're watching us in Beulah Battery, Alabama Port, Grand Bay, Irvington, Theodore, Tillman's Corner, Dawes, none of you are underneath the tornado warning. I know you might be hearing the sirens because the sirens sound for the entire county. I know that's not exactly an efficient way of alerting people. You need to be getting the alerts off your phone, but anyone in the southern end of Mobile County is not underneath a threat for a tornado. No one from the regional airport to Dauphin Island is under that threat right now. Those of you in Citronelle and Chinchula, you are not under a threat for a tornado. That's the good news. But those of you in this red box are, and that includes Midtown, Tolmanville, Pritchard, Saraland, Satsuma, parts of Celeste Road, Sandy Oaks Drive, Big Creek Lake, sections of Cody Road, in parts of Cody, where Cody meets Ziegler, so the fairgrounds, the ground that is underneath the tornado warning. Parts of Schillinger Road near Sims, Wilmer, all need to be in the safe place as this storm continues working its way east at about 40 miles per hour. Now, the current position of the low has changed. You see this counterclockwise motion located right about, let me turn off all of the radar data and satellite imagery. You see this counterclockwise motion near Birmingham? That is the current location of the low. As mentioned, the farther away the low gets from us, the lower our severe weather risk is going to be. So the low is positioned right about here, near Birmingham, near the Magic City. So it is getting farther and farther away from us. That means the chance of dealing with more of these tornado warnings as the day goes on is decreasing. But still, in the here and now, this is a life-threatening situation. Now, the velocity display on this looks very noisy. I'm not really able to ascertain where the possible storm would be. The Weather Service has reported that the original warning was spotted around 7 miles west of Wilmer, so it would be right in this general region. Let me back this up and run this loop, and you can see that right around there, so possibly in this general area, Natchez Highway. It would be right around Natchez Highway and Moffett Road. It would be right around here. This general region near Wilmer is where the possible tornado would be. You may recall, obviously in late October, we had the tornado that hit Dawes and Sims. This is very close to Sims. Sims, you dealt with an EF1 in late October. Hopefully nothing like that is happening right now. Haven't gotten any confirmed reports of a tornado, but if there is one, it's right around this general region. Here's Wilmer Road. This is Moffett Road. We just got a new sweep scan in. So the possible tornado would be where you have the red and the green connected. It would be right in this section right here, south of Moffett, near Jeffrey Road. If you know anyone in those locations, make sure you let them know that there is a situation that is life-threatening and imminent. A dangerous possible tornado is moving through that area. The radar is getting a little cluttered because it's close to the radar beam. I'm going to change this to New Orleans. And this is off, now that we're watching this off the New Orleans radar display, and it's going to be very difficult to get a read on that. And the reason why is because the farther you are from the beam due to the curvature of the Earth, you're not really going to be able to find where these systems are. But I like the chances of it being right here where the red and the green. It's a little broad, but I would say Wilmer to about Fairview Hills Drive. And this section of Wilmer Georgetown Road would be where the possible tornado is located. It's a broad signature, but it would be crossing Moffett right here. This is Highway 98. This is Wilmer. Everyone in Wilmer, you needed to already be in your safe place. Millertown, you need to be doing the same thing right now, away from doors and windows, first floor bathroom. We're streaming on Facebook Live. Take the coverage in there with you and watch this in real time as we continue to update you on the situation. Now, as mentioned, once the storm passes your area, the severe weather threat will be over, and we're not going to see any more for the rest of the day or the rest of the week. So we get through this hurdle, and things are going to be looking a lot better. When we came on the air bright and early this morning, we knew there was a risk of severe weather. We were hopeful we wouldn't see tornado warnings go off, but with storms, you got to expect the unexpected. Now, we just got a new radar scan, and whenever we get those new sweep scans in, I like to pull back and sort of get a glimpse of the radar. And this, all right, so here's the situation. As mentioned before, when you see the green and the red connected, that is where you would see the possible tornado, because green represents wind blowing to the radar, red is wind blowing away from the radar. So when you get them connected, that is where you would have the possible tornado, and it's right near Wilmer. But it looks very broad, meaning that those connected colors are very big, which means that the probability is probably a little lower for a tornado, but if there is one, it's right here. And that's something we just got to really watch, is this area of Fairview Hills Drive right around Wilmer. I'm in touch with the Weather Service right now, and I'm sort of typing and talking and listening to what they're saying as far as situations of who's reported sightings or anything like that. I don't want any of you watching to try to storm chase. You got to leave that to the professionals. You need to be in shelter and not try to get a glimpse of this thing. You need to just make sure that you are taking care of yourself, because as mentioned, even if a tornado is not there, there's still going to be winds blowing in a straight line about 60 to 70 miles per hour, and that can blow debris at you. That can obviously knock down trees and power lines, and we don't want to have something like that happen. So please protect yourself above all costs as we continue following this storm as it's working its way through. As far as where the storm is, the possible tornado, it looks like, would be right here, moving between Sims and Millertown. It's going to be in this general region right here is where we would see the possible tornado if there is one showing up. Let me take another glimpse of that on the radar imagery, the reflectivity. And I think it's about for the same spots, and I think it is. Okay, here is what's known as the inflow. Right here would be the inflow of the storm, and then right in this region, right to the east of Wilmer Road, would be the possible tornado. And that would be right here around Big Creek Lake. So let me recircle that. It would be right in this general area. So Wilmer Road, from Wilmer Road and Tanner Williams to about Millertown is where the biggest danger is. The problem is there's no tight couplet. Well, actually, we're getting one right here around Wilmer. Around Wilmer itself, one has really become defined in the last couple of minutes, in the last couple of scans. Right in this area, right over Wilmer, might be a possible tornado just based on the couplet sort of tightening up in that particular region. It's crossing Moffett Road right now. It's moving to the east at about 40 miles per hour. And that's what you want. You want something that's tight. You don't want red and green connected that's very big. You want something small when you're trying to find a tornado. So right around Wilmer is where that would be located. Wilmer and Moffett Road, that intersection, Wilmer Road, Moffett. If you know anyone in that area, a tornado is possibly in that location as I speak and is going to keep working its way to the east. The radar scan has not been consistent. That's why it's been difficult to continue following this thing in real time. When the scans get weak, it's difficult to find the location of the tornado. We don't have a camera in this particular area, so we just have to rely on the radar, and all of you need to make sure you're taking shelter. That's why we always implore that anyone that's in the polygon is in shelter. Don't wait till one of these signatures is over your area, because then it's too late. So there's the new scan, and notice that the signature, at least what we had circled, is gone, but we're still going to stay on the air with this, and we're going to keep following this, because we keep seeing scans that are great and then scans that are poor, but this is a very broad signature overall. But I do think that if we have any trouble, it's right in this general area between Wilmer and Millertown. Notice everyone again that's included in the polygon. I want to show you again who. Oh wow, we've got 2 more tornado warnings that have just flared up. 2 more that have just been issued. Parts of Escambia County, Alabama, parts of Conecuh County are now underneath tornado warnings. And this is lasting till 11 a.m. So these warnings are in play till 11 a.m. 2 additional tornado warnings. That one till 10:45. The other one, that one 10:45, and then this one to the bottom in play till. They're both till 10:45. Okay, so both of these are active for the next 30 minutes. Goodness gracious. All right. Well, what we were hoping would not happen has happened. A massive tornado outbreak is showing up across the entire Gulf Coast. So let me pull back and let's just kind of take this thing one at a time. All right, so we got this big squall line that's coming through. We know the squall line is dangerous. You got heavy rain with that, lightning, straight line winds that can exceed 60, 70 miles per hour. The storm system is tracking south and east. So that means anyone in advance or to the south of these storms, it's coming for you next. So be aware of that. Anyone behind the storms to the north of this line, your severe threat's done. You're good to go for the rest of the day. Now we have 3 active tornado warnings. One here in Mobile County, one here in Escambia County, Alabama, and another one located around parts of Conecuh County. So let's just go through these one at a time. This is a bad situation that has just gotten worse. So we're just going to stay on the air with this, and we'll start with the newest one. Anyone in the red polygon, again, if you're joining us late, the red box is what you got to look for. If you're in the red box, you're in danger. If you're not, there's no tornado imminent for you. So Porch Creek, Jack Springs, Martinville, Robinsonville, Stanley Crossroads, Osaka, Hammock. All of you need to be in your safe place right now. So the Porch Creek Indian Reservation, everyone needs to be in a safe place away from doors and windows. This is between Atmore and Huxford. If you're in those 2 communities, you're okay for now. As far as the other tornado warning, it includes Barnett Crossroads. It includes Wallace. It includes Appleton. It includes Kirkland, Castleberry, Janes Mill. So anyone that heard their community just get called out, range included in that. Get to your safe place immediately. Let me pull up the velocity display for this region. Just see if we can spot anything, and the signatures are pretty good. We got a powerful one right there north of Martinville. So your possible tornado is between Martinville and Huxford. Along Alabama Highway 21, there's a possible tornado working its way east at about 40 miles per hour. As far as the second tornado warning, I'm not seeing a signature there. Doesn't mean there's not one imminent, but there's a really good chance there's a tornado right. Let me, that was the wrong thing. Let me redraw it right here along Alabama 21, south of Huxford, east of Mack Pond Road and McCullough Road. If you know anyone that travels Alabama 21, make sure that they know that that is a life-threatening situation. Back to the tornado that's in Mobile County, or possible tornado that's in Mobile County. As of now, no distinct signature is standing out. I'm checking our second radar system for additional updates. So we have 2 that we use, one that you see displayed on the graphics and one that's in-house. Not really seeing anything that's standing out on that. Doesn't necessarily mean one is not there, but the possible tornado would be, let me go back to the reflectivity, right here around Sims. So right in this section of Sims, right here, that would be a storm inflow. So your tornado would be in this general region right here, where you got this heavy downpour of rain. So right to the south and east of Sims is where the tornado would likely be hiding as it gets ready to cross Schillinger Road. Now, as mentioned, let's say there's no tornado there, right? That's great news. But the winds are still showing up at 70 miles an hour in a straight line. That's still going to knock down trees and power lines. So don't, go out celebrating just because there may or may not be a tornado. This is extremely dangerous, and we're going to keep staying with this. We just got a new radar scan. Sims, you're getting the nastiest part of this storm right now. Sims, Blackwell, Nursery Road, Wolf Road, MGM High School, anyone near MGM dealing with the worst part of the storm. The winds I know are showing up at about 70 miles an hour. If you can hear my voice, I know it's bad right now. Stay put, stay where you are. Things will improve in about the next 20 minutes because it's moving so fast. It's not going to be over you for a very long period of time. So just hold on and stay tough. But Sims, without a doubt, is getting the nastiest storm across the entire area where it is just pouring right now. And that storm is tracking southeast toward Magnolia Grove, toward the South Alabama campus, toward parts of Midtown, Pritchard, Saraland High School. Anyone in that area, be aware that that storm is moving in your direction next. I'll draw the storm track on it. And you can see that some of the estimated times, gosh, I think it'll be to Pritchard a lot sooner than that. Magnolia Grove about 10:34. Orchard about 10:42. These are just radar estimates, but because the storm is moving so fast, it may show up sooner than what those radar estimates are going with. The upside of that is that we're not going to be dealing with a severe weather threat all day. The sooner we get it out of here, the better. But man, I know it's rough in Sims right now, without a shadow of a doubt. As far as the possible tornado, let me take a glimpse again at I'm going to look at the loop on this and see if I can find where it might be. I think it would be right here in this area around Lacoste Road. That's a velocity of 62 miles per hour. If you look at the bottom of that box, that's an extremely high threat for wind. So whether a tornado is there or not, that is a really nasty pocket of wind between Sims and 8 Mile. Those of you in 8 Mile, I hope that you are in your safe place, because that storm cell is moving directly towards you, and it's moving to you in a hurry. So we're going to continue watching this, and we're going to stay with this. And I think that's about right. Let me pull up what's called the scope tool, and you can see that where did we have that rotation? Right around, I think it was right here in this area. The tornado would be right there around Schillinger Road if there is one. You see where the green and the red are connected around Schillinger? Here's Schillinger Road. Most of you know that runs all the way from West Mobile. Heck, it runs from Theodore, Tillman's Corner up towards Sims, just to the east of that. So by the Northcutt Dental, you've driven through Sims. You know, Northcutt Dental's right there at Schillinger and Moffett. Right there would be your possible tornado. And that's going to keep working its way east toward US 45. Here's Cushla, here's 8 Mile, here's Saraland High School. That's exit 13 off I-65 and around Shelton Beach Road. This storm is going to keep lifting its way to the east, and it's moving fast because it's moving at about 40 miles per hour. So I want to point out some of those locations. If they ring a bell, that's where the dangerous part of the storm is moving, and that's the part of the storm we're going to continue to follow. Schillinger at Moffett, a heavily trafficked intersection. I pray that's not the case today for obvious reasons, because of the coronavirus, but also because of the imminent severe weather threat. So we are going to keep watching this storm. Sims, I know it's still really bad all over that town. I promise, though, it'll get a little bit better within the next 20 minutes. Schillinger and Moffett, that is where, if there is a tornado on the ground, that's where it's located. It is headed toward 8 Mile and Saraland. I implore you to be in your safe place. This would be your inflow. That's your storm inflow, where you got that little curvature. You see how the storm has this little curve shape right here? That is an inflow. So when you get a storm inflow like this, your rotation would be right here. So that would be right around Chingdary Road, Lacoste Road. Anyone in that general region needs to be in a safe place. Forgive me while I had to take a sip of water. We're going to keep staying with this. We're not going to leave you. We're going to keep staying on the air on Fox 10, as well as live streaming on Facebook Live and on all of our social channels because of this imminent danger that is showing up from this possible tornado. I'm going to pull up the velocity display again. And the rotation signature, it's at its strongest in that general spot, right there along Alabama Highway 217. So Alabama 217 around Lott Road, Glow and Drive. And that runs to the tail end of University Boulevard as well. So University Boulevard near 8 Mile. Near Blunt High School. If you know anyone in that region, make sure, for goodness sakes, they are in their safe place right now. We've also got meteorologist Matt Barrentine. Now, he is not here in studio, but he is joining us from home on Skype. Matt, I know you've been chatting with the Weather Service from home. I know you've been watching this like I have. You've been seeing this thing develop. And as I mentioned on the air, it's sort of the worst thing that could happen, a tornado outbreak, which we were hoping wouldn't happen, but now it looks like it has. What are you seeing, especially with this storm system that's in Sims right now?
Yeah, you're looking at a very powerful storm moving into the western parts of Mobile County. So everybody there needs to be taking shelter. If you're out ahead of this, you need to be taking shelter as well. The latest from the National Weather Service right now, they're also keeping a very close eye on the tornado warning up in Escambia County, Alabama, and they're pinpointing Stanley Crossroads because they're saying that circulation is strengthening there near Stanley Crossroads. And if you know where Wind Creek is, that's just off to the east of Wind Creek up there near I-65. So we're seeing multiple storms. See Michael's now pulling out, heading down to that other storm. Here it is, Stanley Crossroads. And you can see Michael was talking about the inflow notch for that one over in Mobile County. Now we're seeing one as well for Escambia County, Alabama. Once again, that is just to the northeast of Wind Creek. So that is Stanley Crossroads. And we're keeping an eye on the past damage as well in George County. There apparently was some damage there from that earlier storm that is now tracking through Mobile County. So whenever these storms have a history of creating damage, we have to watch them very carefully as they move down the line, which is what we're seeing now with this one that is now moving near the Sims area down towards Magnolia Grove. Looks like Saraland, you're going to be within this as well. And once again, like Michael has been saying, we do have what we call polygons on there. And you can see the shape of the box here on the side of your screen. And that's the area that's under the warning right now. So if you are south of this area in West Mobile like I am, you're not in this warned zone. You could hear, once again, the sirens going off, but just be aware that you are not in that if you are south of this area. But if you're in Saraland, you're in Tolmanville, you are within the warned area. You need to be taking shelter because, once again, as Michael has been showing as it's tracked here off to the east, that it wasn't always evident exactly where it was at. And we do see this a lot with these straight line storms that come through that can spin up these quick tornadoes. They can drop down and then go back up and they can drop down again. And that's probably what we're seeing here. So that's why we'll see it on some of the radar scans, and on other radar scans it seems to disappear. That's what we're looking at. So once again, we're continuing to watch this area right through central Mobile County, keeping an eye on. Oh, we just got word from the National Weather Service. We're likely to issue a new tornado warning just east of Bruton. So, Michael, We're looking at a new tornado warning likely to come here just to the east of Bruton. So we see these two
eastern
warned
Escambia
boxes.
County, Alabama. Yeah, so we've already got two, Matt, and this one, the one that was around Porch Creek was set to expire at 10:45. The one north of it was also set to expire at 10:45. So likely what we're going to see happen is an extension of one of these tornado warnings that will include the eastern end of Escambia County, Alabama, but also the warning has been scaled back a bit for parts of Mobile County. It now includes locations only from Sims to Saraland. And as Matt was saying, I want to emphasize that if you're hearing sirens, and I know Mobile County, the tornado warning siren goes for the whole county. So you could be in Citronelle and be hearing the sirens go off, or in Grand Bay and hearing the sirens go off, but only spots that are in the red box are in danger of a tornado. Sims, Magnolia Grove, Saraland, Satsuma, Pritchard, 8 Mile, Tolmanville. That's it. And that's our primary concern for Mobile County. What we're hoping we see happen is the tornado threat backs off and that we end up not really dealing with a major impact other than a straight line wind threat. I want to pull out and show you the radar. And wow, the rain has already really picked up around Saraland and Satsuma. So I know in those spots, it's already gotten ugly. Same thing for 8 Mile and Cushla, Magnolia Grove, parts of Sims. Sims, I know you're still getting hit with all this rain. Now, we needed the rain. Getting the rain is great, but dealing with the severe weather aspect is what's awful. And we're just going to continue to stay with this, and we'll pull back up the velocity display. And it's very noisy off this radar beam. It really is. Sometimes when you're in a situation where you're too close to the radar, you're not going to get a good sweep scan off it, and it makes it a little more challenging to find the possible tornado. Now I just switched it to New Orleans, off the New Orleans radar, and still we're not getting a very good read on where the possible tornado would be. I think if there is one, it would be right here around 8 Mile. Let me circle that, and I'm seeing that signature right there. Matt, do you agree that that signature is probably the tightest from what we've been able to get a look at right there at 8 Mile and High Point Boulevard and US 45?
Yeah, let me make sure my mic is open here now. Yeah, we're looking at 8 Mile right there. So anybody along Highway 45, the difficulty here, I know Michael has been alludes to this here a lot, that we're getting really close to the radar site. And that makes it harder to see some of these when they get too close to the radar site. But we can see definitely some what looks like some broad rotation there around 8 Mile. We'll have to see if that's going to continue to tighten on up. And like I was saying earlier, is a lot of times with these we see you see a tornado drop down, then it goes back up, then drops back down. But regardless if that goes over your house, it's still going to have straight line winds that are really strong, even if the tornado has lifted back up at that point in time. So we'll still be looking at winds likely of 60, 70, maybe even 80 miles an hour in the heart of that storm as it passes on through from 8 Mile to the Pritchard area. So once again, it's going to be a damaging storm. It does have a history of creating damage. We have seen that back in George County. We'll be checking here across Mobile County to see if we've got damage as well. If you know of any damage, let us know. But once again, like Michael said earlier, we don't want you trying to get out in this heavy rain and thunder and lightning trying to get video of something out there. It's dark. It's the rain's blowing sideways. You're not going to see it in time before you get in trouble. So we don't want people doing that.
And Matt, one sign of good news, and again, I know that may be the wrong phrasing, but a new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. It's an extension of the tornado warning, and it moves into Baldwin County. Now, I say I don't like to use the phrase good news because gusty straight line winds are still extremely dangerous. You can have those things at 60, 70 miles an hour. People still need to take them seriously, but the chance of a rotating storm crossing into Baldwin County appears to be diminishing because you know this, Matt, whenever the Weather Service issues a new warning that's an extension of a previous warning and it's different, that means that we're seeing the storm structure change.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully it is winding down. It did look a little bit broader on that last scan, but like you said, we'll still get straight line wind damage out of the 60, 70 miles an hour. So there could still be trees getting blown down, large limbs being blown down, obviously the power lines going down. And once again, we're seeing some very heavy rain with this, something you don't want to be driving in this. Certainly, I know there's less traffic on the roads these days, so that's a good thing for this. But you don't want to be out driving in this. You want to let this pass by because it is moving through. We're not going to be dealing with this for too much longer, as Michael has been saying. Behind this, things they get a lot quieter very quickly. There is no severe weather threat once this main line passes you by. So this severe weather threat now is basically right on I-65. It's going to work its way east into the Panhandle here within the next half hour to hour. And then all of our Alabama counties will be completely out of this, and it will be done. But then we'll deal with our Panhandle counties as the last bit of this line pulls on through. Then once it's done, we get some very nice weather after that. So things will improve very quickly. So we just got to get through here this next little bit and continue to watch this line. Once again, that one up there around Bruton, that's the one that's been extended. So if you're in Bruton, now you are under a tornado warning. So please take your precautions, take shelter. This one's had a history there on the radar of looking pretty tight. Up there in Escambia County. So I've been keeping a very close eye on that one as well as it's making its way on through. In fact, I'm checking it out. And Michael, we really need to probably pull up the velocity just to the west of Bruton. We definitely have a very tight looking area there of rotation. Just to the east of Bruton is starting to show up. There it is.
Yeah, right there. That one's nasty. Right there by Hammock. Yeah, and Wallace. Yeah, that would be it right there. I'll circle it.
Yeah, right there. That is headed straight towards Bruton. So if anybody right now you're in Bruton, you need to be in your safe place right now. That is a very tight circulation on the radar. Very good chance that we're seeing a tornado up there on the ground. So please take that seriously. If you're in Bruton, You need to be in shelter right now for this possible tornado as it's approaching Highway 41. Highway 31 is not too far away. Appleton Road, Kirkland Road, North Bruton. It looks like it may pass just to the north of East Bruton, but if you're in East Bruton, I still want you in shelter just in case. You don't take a couple of miles to be a safe zone, so you want to make sure you're in shelter as well. So that is what we're looking at. There's Michael. He's putting it into motion, and you can see that couplet. It is definitely there.
And you can see where it moved from Stanley's Crossroads. Now, here's the thing, Matt. Bruton, they might get lucky on this. Just based on the movement, it might move just north because it's moving northeast, so it might just miss Bruton. But everyone there needs to be in their safe place now, but you might get lucky. Those of you who are on Appleton Road at US 31 might not be so lucky. That thing looks like it is heading that way with a vengeance. And I mean, we've seen how tight. I'm backing up the loop again, and you can just see around Stanley's Crossroads. That was at 10:17. That was no more than 14 minutes ago, and then it only took 5 minutes to move toward Hammock. And now it's moving up toward, it'll probably in the next scan, Matt, be just north of Bruton, between Bruton and Kirkland is likely where that possible tornado would be. That signature much stronger than what I've seen even blow through the Mobile County tornado warning. I do think that the Weather Service will likely let that expire, the one in Mobile County, that is, within the next 10 minutes.
I don't know if Michael can hear me, but yes, they did expire the Mobile County tornado warning.
Oh, and it's dropped off our radar system. It's gone. Okay, so
it's gone. Yes.
Mobile County, the tornado threat is over. I want to show you again on the watch warning map. The tornado warning has been canceled for Mobile County, but you are still underneath a severe thunderstorm warning because of straight line winds. That will be active until 11:15. So make sure, for goodness sakes, you are not on the road or driving because those straight line winds are a mess. But where we still have active tornado warnings is where me and Matt were showing you earlier. Eastern Escambia County, Alabama. Bruton primarily is the biggest metro spot that is underneath this tornado warning. I'll show the radar imagery again and look at the squall line. It runs from Evergreen all the way to about Saraland and Sims, and we're going to keep seeing that line move southeast. So those of you in Mobile, Dawes, Spanish Fort, Malbus, Daphne, Stapleton, Loxley. I know you haven't seen much other than a big gust of wind, but these storms are heading your way. The good news is the chance of a tornado with these has decreased. But obviously, there's heavy rain. Obviously, because severe thunderstorm warnings have been issued, you're going to deal with a straight line wind threat with winds possibly in excess of 60 miles per hour. Now, the storm posing the biggest life-threatening danger is this one right around Bruton, and we're going to go back to it. And you can see that Bruton primarily is dry, but the storm is right there, located around right there in Bruton. You see it, Matt, on your velocity display at US 41 and Appleton Road. It's right there.
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but the National Weather Service is really concerned about this. And I also want to point out, Michael, right there on Highway 31, just north of Bruton, is the Walmart Supercenter. So a lot of folks would likely be there, and this is going right through that area. So if you know somebody that's there, you need to give them a warning right now because that is going right through that area on the north side of Bruton. That's right where the Walmart Supercenter is there in town on the north side of town. So something to be aware of. We are seeing what's likely a tornado going through the north side of Bruton and Highway 31. That is an area where folks need to be taking shelter. And I just wanted to point out the fact that we probably have a lot of folks up there in and around the Walmart Supercenter because this will be a very busy time for them. So hopefully folks in there, if there's folks in there listening to us on Fox 10, you need to be getting into the best shelter you can as this is passing right through. That circulation's right there on the north side of Bruton, Michael.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing, Matt. I mean, I'm zooming in tight with the reflectivity. You may be in Bruton and you may be dry, but boy, you go just north on Appleton Road and it is awful in that area, and the velocity couplet, as mentioned, it is really dangerous, and that storm is going to keep working its way toward parts of Roberts and Rock Hill and Parker Springs as it shifts its way eventually outside of Escambia County, Alabama, and outside of the Fox 10 viewing area. But that warning is active until 11:15, so it's still up for the next 40 minutes. So we're going to keep watching this and stick with it for the next 40 minutes as this thing continues to wreak havoc right around Bruton. And I'll pull back up the velocity scan. And if there's a tornado, man, it's literally right between Pea Ridge and Bruton, lifting up across US 31. And as Matt mentioned, that's right by the Walmart Supercenter. That is where a lot of our Bruton residents are likely at today, probably trying to replenish supplies because of the coronavirus crisis. And this is why you got to stay weather aware and, have a way to get warnings on your phone. Now, and make sure if you know anyone that's in this area or maybe shopping at that Walmart, tell them, text them, let them know that they need to stay in there. Matt, look at the new scan. It's right there over US 31, right at Bruton. And isn't that the exact spot you said the Walmart is?
Yeah, it is right there. So we are looking at it going right by. It's where that road, the avenue there, it hits Highway 31. That is where it's at. So it is right in that area, going right through the north side of town here on Bruton. This is a really bad situation to directly impact the town here like this. So all folks in Bruton hopefully are in their shelter, in their safe place. If you live just to the north and east of Bruton, you need to be in your shelter as well. We're looking at a very serious situation here in Escambia County. One thing about it, the National Weather Service is saying that this is now the lone circulation in Escambia County. So the other one that they also had a tornado warning for is not in circulation anymore. So this is the one they're really concerned with. And obviously looking at the velocity imagery, that is why. Because, folks, what we're looking at here on your screen are winds that are going in circulation. They're going and rotating here right over the town of Bruton. And that is likely we're seeing a tornado. And even if it's not on the ground, we're getting some extremely strong winds there around Appleton Road. And this is right, like we've been mentioning, right around where the Walmart Supercenter is at on the north side of town. So, a lot of folks are going to be around that area here this morning today. So hopefully folks are getting in their shelter as quick as they can. And really over the entire north side of town right now, dealing with this possible tornado as it slides on through. So that is a very, very serious situation going on in Bruton. We are looking at once again a possibly very damaging storm moving on through. So
and that's also right by the Escambia County Courthouse too. I was pulling up some of the locations. Escambia County Courthouse, it's right over that location too, Matt. So I mean, it's right in downtown, right in the heart of Bruton.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So right through the center of town, it looks like. Actually, it may end up passing just to the south of the Supercenter, but just to the south of the Supercenter is where the bulk of sort of the town is at. So one way or the other, it's cutting through Bruton right now. So that is not going to be good for the next little while. So folks need to take shelter and stay in shelter in Bruton. So it is a rough storm that is moving through right now.
Right now, if you're joining us or just joining us, I'm meteorologist Michael White here in the Fox 10 Storm Tracker Center. Matt Barrentine on location at his home in Skype, continuing to practice social distancing protocol. I want to give you kind of an overview of what is going on. We've got a squall line, a nasty squall line that's pushing south and east. And where you see the colors in gold, these represent severe thunderstorm warnings. Parts of Mobile and Baldwin County are included in that till 11:15. Where you see the red, this is the tornado warning, and the one that is of biggest concern is right around Bruton, and that warning is also active until 11:15. We're going to continue to keep our eye on this. Let me show the radar for those of you that are watching in Mobile, wondering what the situation is. I know you've been dry most of the day, but the rain and storms are right around Pritchard, Magnolia Grove, and they're tracking south into our area. In fact, we got a sky cam pulled up. Let's see if we can go to that, and you can see the cold front approaching the area. That is off our sky cam on the top of the Admiral Hotel, and you can see the ominous clouds on the horizon, and those clouds are basically moving toward the camera. They're tracking south. That's a view of the north sky, and all of that is heading toward the camera location. We've also got, I know one of our photographers, I was just told, Robert Brown is in Pritchard, and I believe we have a shot from him. And well, we had it a second ago, but you could see the rain was significant there in Pritchard, Matt. So even other than the tornado threat in Pritchard, which is not in Pritchard, in Bruton, you've got heavy rain and straight line winds impacting locations like Pritchard, Sims, Magnolia Grove, Gravine Island, Cloverleaf Landing, and moving toward Mobile and the eastern shore. So those of you that are in Mobile, I know the weather's been quiet most of the day. It's about to get unquiet very quickly. So all these people you see driving, they don't need to be doing that. You need to wait until after the squall line passes over your community before resuming normal activities. It's just too dangerous. We see way too many accidents when this kind of thing happens. And Matt, I'm assuming, I believe that's I-65 is where Robert is shooting this. And you just look at this number of cars that are going through this, and you think about the coronavirus crisis. Most people should be working from home anyway. I mean, Matt, that's a massive number of vehicles moving on the roads right now.
Yeah, and Michael, I don't know if we'll get a chance here in a second to check out the new scan from up in there in Bruton, but it still continues to look like quite a significant storm up that way. There we go. Now it seems to be moving off to the east of Bruton. So whatever's happened now is now passed over Bruton, and it's now over towards the Rock Hill area. So we're getting some new scans in. Looks like it's broadening out on that one. There is once again, this is just to the east of Kirkland and went through the very north side of Bruton here just a little while ago. So damaging storm, most likely. We're going to have to check in with the emergency manager up there and see what's happened. But we had a very concerning looking view there of the radar where it looked like we had a tornado possibly touching down in and around the Bruton area, maybe right through the north side of town. So very concerning situation there. It appears to be now moving off to the east of Bruton over around Kirkland and Rock Hill. That is to the east side of that polygon box too, Michael. So we'll see. I don't know if we stretched that out. Oh,
well, there's technically two boxes. So you have basically a small box and a giant box, I guess, so to speak, when it comes to these tornado warnings. Everyone in Escambia County, Alabama, east of Bruton is in a tornado warning, and it's still active, Matt, for about the next half hour. So we'll just keep staying with this as that storm's moving east. But Bruton, the tornado threat, I mean, I know it's still pouring rain, obviously, but I think the tornado threat is now north and east of you, and right around between Kirkland and Rock Hill, where you see that lightning popping, is where the most dangerous storm is located. And Matt, you were right. It is. It's now lifted into that general vicinity, as we can see it on the velocity display right there.
Yeah, it's getting a little harder to see because we're getting a pretty good ways from the radar site, so it's not showing up as clearly, but there's likely still a circulation there as it moves its way off through the parts of Escambia County and continues to work its way off to the east-northeast, around 45 miles an hour. That's what they've got it pegged at right now. And once again, Michael's going down to the southern part of that line. You can see it's a pretty solid line of rain and storms, and we just saw that great camera shot from our Admiral cam of that leading line of the what is the cold front. And, you know, this won't last too much longer. Once that is through, we're actually going to have some really nice weather after all this. But we've got to get through this last little bit here this morning. So we'll get through this last bit, and we'll be done with the rain and the storms, and we'll be dealing with some nicer weather. Zooming in now, it looks like Michael's got us down into Mobile County. So if you're in Mobile County, kind of wondering what's going on, winds blowing around, but not seeing much rain. Well, most of it's moving off to the north and east. So it's I haven't seen a whole lot across parts of the whole southern end of the county. Yeah,
that's what I wanted to emphasize, because the southwest pocket of that squall line is so far away from that low that's around Birmingham, you're not really seeing much of a severe threat. You look toward the Dawes community, southern Mobile County, Jackson County, Mississippi. I mean, yeah, you'll get some rain, but that's really going to be about it. The dangerous part of that squall line runs from about Mobile up to White House Forks, and then obviously up into Escambia County, Alabama, where we got the tornado threat still east of Bruton. Down around southern Mobile County, Matt, I don't think those communities are going to have much of a tornado threat at all.
Yeah, the tornado threat will continue on into the Panhandle, and I'm actually reading the very latest from the Storm Prediction Center. They just released a new mesoscale discussion, that's what we call it, and what they are saying is they're actually going to bump up the tornado risk here for Dave because of what we've been seeing here along this line for folks to the east, say over around the Wiregrass area and parts of the Florida Panhandle, up to a 10% risk of seeing a tornado out of this. So they are, from the Storm Prediction Center, are going to increase the tornado risk for points eastward. Could include parts of our viewing area in the Panhandle, and then also the Wiregrass section of Alabama as well. So they are putting out that information right now. So trying to keep up with a lot of different information coming in. They did expire one of those tornado warnings up in Escambia County, Alabama, the Escambia County, Alabama one. Right. And we're also getting some reports.
only the main one, the one that was was covering Bruton, is still. That's the only active tornado warning. I'll go to the watch warning map, and yeah, that's the only one that's still up, and it's up till 11:15.
Okay, and they're also reporting some small hail out of this line as well, so that's not as big of an issue. Obviously, with this, we're more concerned with the straight line winds. We're more concerned with the possibility of tornadic activity out there today.
That's right. And if you're joining us again, I'm meteorologist Michael White in the Fox 10 Storm Tracker Center. Matt Barrentine broadcasting from home. That, I believe, is Ryan. What is that, Ryan? That's Bruton. Okay, that is a camera from Bruton. That's wonderful. So that we have that camera available. You can see the data connection, not great, but you can just look at the ponding on the road, and it is extremely significant in that area. Now, the tornado threat for downtown Bruton is over, which is great. But you can still see the rain rate is significant. Lightning is still popping. And I wish we weren't seeing any people on those roads. But, Matt, the ponding on the road looks pretty significant around Bruton, just based on those images we're getting off that Skycam shot.
Yeah, that camera is in downtown Bruton. It's south of where this possible twister went through. So if there is some damage up there in Bruton, it's going to be north of where we're seeing this camera shot. So you're seeing the heavy rain, but you're not going to be seeing any damage here in this shot. We're checking in now, trying to find out if there's been some damage in and around the Bruton area. Obviously, the storm looked pretty nasty as it went through. Can always keep your fingers crossed and hope that it didn't actually touch down. Maybe it didn't do a whole lot of damage, but we're not going to know until we get some reports out of up there. It did look pretty significant as it moved on through. It continues to be a pretty strong line. Once again, keeping track of everything on here as it moves on through that main line. Now the heaviest of it's east of Bruton. Also, pretty heavy rain now entering the northern part of Baldwin County, going past Bay Minette, headed towards Stapleton area. Heavy rain right there, and it is bowing out a little bit, Michael, so we're probably going to get some pretty good, strong, straight-line wind gusts out of that section. Yeah,
it looks like now east of Interstate 65 is where the lingering severe weather threat is going to be today. And I mean for everything, not just the tornado threat, but the gusty straight line winds where the winds can exceed 60 miles an hour. I think if you're in Mobile County and even areas like Dawes, Tillman's Corner, Beulah Battery, Grand Bay, and Jackson County, Mississippi, you're just so far away from that area of low pressure. I just don't think you're going to have a severe weather threat. Hopefully you'll get some beneficial rain because we all need that because of the high pollen count. But the severe threat, I really don't think you have to be concerned much about that anymore. So Mobile County, Jackson County, Mississippi, everyone west of I-65, the severe threat is over for you. East of I-65 is where the problems still linger. We have a marine warning around Escambia Bay. We've got the active tornado warning around Bruton that's in play till 11:15, although the tornado signature is now technically east of Bruton and is on the very outer fringe of our viewing area. And you got nasty storms in Baldwin County, North Baldwin County, just south of Bay Minette. As Matt mentioned, it's bowing out. What that means is you start to see a curvature structure on the reflectivity. And when that happens, the winds become much more intense. Notice how the storm starts taking more of this curvature shape that I'm drawing right there. That is how you know the storm is bowing out. So Bay Minette, Stapleton, and right around Spanish Fort High School, and where State Highway 59 meets US 31, that is where the straight line wind threat is picking up. No tornado threat in that area, but you could be having winds in excess of about 60, possibly 70 miles per hour in that region as the storms continue to track their way toward the east. The severe thunderstorm warning is still active until 11:15. So for the next 25 minutes, we've still got these warnings that are going to be in place. And this was a day where, we knew there was going to be the risk of severe weather. The severe weather risk zone was certainly in play and favorable for us to see that. We had gotten lucky during the morning news. We really hadn't seen anything happening except in Mississippi. But at 9:30, we started seeing these warnings going off. And I have not gotten any reports. Matt, do you have the Weather Service chat opened on your computer?
Oh, yeah, I certainly do.
Have they said anything about any confirmations in Mobile County?
No, not from Mobile County. Most of the damage so far that we've seen has actually been up in George County. They've been reporting some damage there from where the storm originally went through. So we're going to keep checking here. And, usually it lags, when you get the reports in, but we're going to keep looking here. We have been getting reports of some hail as well with this. So we'll continue to look for some reports. There's likely to have been some sort of damage out there, whether it's trees down, large limbs, power lines down. So we'll keep checking to see what we can find. Main thing is, I think at this point, is that it's moving. The worst of it's moving east of Brewton, which is good to see because it'll be out of our area here very soon. And
yeah, it just got scaled back. Yep.
Yes. There it did. So that's good to see. Also, we'll have to keep, like I said, watching the Panhandle area as this continues to work. The whole line will kind of drift off to the south. And people in the Panhandle, you'll be the next to experience some stronger weather, possibly even some tornadic weather. We'll keep an eye on that for you as the afternoon starts to come along here as we get through the lunchtime hour. And there it is. Michael's working it through on the future cast. It's probably more likely, if we're going to get any more severe weather out of this, be more likely over towards the Wiregrass. But we will have to continue to watch right there along that main line, right around lunchtime and then around Pensacola in those areas here, just in case one of those storms decides to spin on up a bit. So not completely out of the woods yet. Things are improving, though, here for us. And we'll continue to track this as it continues to work its way south and east. Now, Michael's putting up the warnings up again. You can see the red flashing. That means they just scaled back that tornado warning near Brewton. You can also see the yellow flashing of the severe thunderstorm warning over parts of central Baldwin County. They've also changed that one as well, Michael.
Yeah, Mobile County itself, Matt, is getting scaled back out of the warning. That's kind of what I was touching on earlier. Parts of Mobile County and anyone west of I-65, I think you can pretty much put a fork in the severe weather threat. You will still get some rain, but severe weather not really going to be happening. East of I-65 is where we're still going to be watching. And because that surface low, the one we showed you this morning on the morning news that was around Jackson, Mississippi, it's now east of Birmingham. The farther away that low is going to get from us, the lower the severe weather threat was going to be. That's why on the future cast, which I ran, as you saw it getting closer to the Panhandle, the system looked like it was getting weaker, which is what we do believe is going to be happening. So this is not going to be a situation where we're going to be on the air all day, 3, 4 in the afternoon, dealing with numerous warnings. I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think by the time we get to lunchtime, possibly as, maybe 1, all of this is going to be done, and the weather's going to be looking great. I'll show the full radar again. And anyone north of that squall line, the weather's good. Monroe County, Clark County, Washington County, Greene County, even George County, the weather is looking really, really nice for the time being. It's still windy, but you're not dealing with rain. The severe threat is over. Anyone ahead of the squall line is the ones that still need to be paying attention. As Matt mentioned, that's the Florida Panhandle. That's anyone in Baldwin County, from the eastern shore to Gulf Shores in Orange Beach. You need to be watching these storms as they move in a southeast motion, although I do think it's going to be spots east of Pensacola that probably have a slightly then higher average chance of dealing with additional severe thunderstorm warnings. I mean, you saw Mobile County got dropped out of the warning. We haven't seen any for Jackson County, Mississippi. Really, you look at this edge of the squall line, there's hardly anything there. You go up toward Bay Minette and Pineville, and you start to see the storms getting much more aggressive. And that's sort of been the trend that we have noticed. Now, we still got about 20 more minutes till these warnings lapse. And then the question is, Matt, what's to come next? And it looks like we're going to see a really improved weather setup for the afternoon, and we'll even get down into the 40s by daybreak tomorrow. The rest of the week looks sensational after this.
Yeah, it really does. We'll get back to what it should be feeling like at this time of year and these hot, humid temperatures that we've had. And we'll continue to have to watch this line for the next couple of hours. National Weather Service is saying they're still concerned about some of the bowing in that. When we say bowing, we like you think of a bow and arrow that bows outward. When it's bowing outward, that means you have strong straight line winds pushing it. And if you look over there on your screen, or other way here, look over there on your screen, you'll see that around Stapleton, there is what we call a bowing segment there where it's bowed out a little bit. And that means there's some strong straight line winds gusting right through there. So if you're in Gateswood, this is headed your way. It's about to move on through with some strong winds through there. And then that'll be crossing the Perdido and over into Escambia County, Florida. So it looks like it'll track right along I-10, just to the north of I-10 there with that part of the storm. So it'll be pretty strong, but likely hold together over into the Cantonment area and over towards Molino with some strong straight line winds out of that section right there. Yeah. That is right now over Stapleton going towards Gateswood. Yeah,
that storm that I just circled, Matt, yeah, the one that you mentioned, the one that's bowing out, that is why a new severe thunderstorm warning was issued. You see this gold box? It was issued because that storm that I circled is going to be tracking east through those communities. That severe thunderstorm warning goes till 11:45. You could have straight line winds around 60 to 70 miles an hour. Remember, that will knock down trees and power lines, and that does include all of those communities that you're seeing located in that gold box. That would be Gateswood, that would be McKinnon, that would be Molino. It does not include Cantonment or Pace, but it does include Molino, it does include McDavid, and it also includes Chumuckla. So these rural sections of Escambia County and Santa Rosa County, Florida, you are at risk of dealing with that storm that Matt mentioned is bowing out, the one that's south of Bay Minette, as it tracks its way toward the east and southeast. And the straight line wind threat is still going to be very significant with those storms over the next 30 minutes. So what you don't want to do is be driving at all in that situation. You want to be off the road in your safe place until the storm passes. Now, once the storm passes, and for example, if you're up in Citronelle or Tensas or Chatham or McIntosh, everything's fine. Go ahead. You can walk outside. Everything's good. But with these storms over you, you just don't want any part of that. Now, I'm glad we're getting the rain. That's awesome. It's great that we're going to see a lot of this muggy air leave us. But these straight line winds are no joke. They're very serious. And some people think, well, if there's no tornado, everything's going to be okay. But you think about this, and I mentioned this earlier, if you have an old tree in your yard, you get a 60, 70 mile an hour wind gust, it could knock that thing over. If it lands on the roof of your house, you're talking about a serious problem. And people all the time get it mixed up as to whether it was a straight line wind threat or a tornado. The impact always ends up the same. Your home ends up damaged. So you got to be take these very seriously and have a way to get warnings. But it's this storm that's the greatest concern right now, the one around Stapleton and Gateswood, and that's going to keep working its way eastward into the rural sections of the Florida Panhandle. If you're watching us in Mobile County, you're getting some good soaking rain right now around parts of the South Alabama campus, shops at Bel Air, McGowan Park, Cottage Hill, Leroy Stevens, and that's going to track south toward Dawes. But the showers are just a lot punier the farther southwest you go, where you'll get a little rain, but you're not going to get an overwhelming amount. And the situation will eventually improve for us as we continue marching forward throughout the day. Once that tornado warning around parts of Bruton or parts of Escambia County, Alabama expires or gets canceled, we'll go back to programming and just run the crawl at the bottom of your screen. But the only active tornado warning is right there for the next 15 minutes for that section of Escambia County, Alabama. That's right on the fringe of our area, and it's covering parts of US 29, right around Damascus Road, Brooklyn Road, and eventually going to be pushing off into parts of Rome and Andalusia and into Opp. And of course, that is outside of our coverage zone. The velocity display, very challenging to find. If there is a tornado, it would still be in this general It would be in this spot right here around Damascus Road and US 29. I'll try to circle that right there would be the possible tornado. That's the one that was over Bruton earlier, and have not heard of any reports of damage. I'm checking the Twitter feed and have not gotten any reports of that, which is good, but it doesn't mean that something hasn't happened. Matt, we just got a cancellation of the tornado watches, which we kind of figured would happen. Since the cold front has already passed through certain communities, it makes sense to drop them out of the watch. So all of you in our inland counties, Monroe, Clark, Washington, Greene, George, Jackson, no tornado watch. It's still in play for Mobile County. Not really sure why, to be honest with you, but the watch is still active for everyone you see in yellow flashing. But I still think the spots with the greatest danger of any severe weather for the remainder of our day locally is going to be the inland spots of the Florida Panhandle, north of Pensacola, north of I-10, where you've already got the active severe thunderstorm warnings. This particular section right here, I still think has the best chance of dealing with any additional severe weather problems. But our tornado threat is diminishing because that low that's in Birmingham is continuing to move away from us.
Yeah, that's right, Michael. We are continuing to watch this line, the main line here, moving on to the east here for us across the area. That'll continue to do so, work its way down into the Panhandle. And we're continuing to watch these individual little storms to see if they can start what we call bowing out, which is creating strong straight line winds. And there will still be a risk of tornadoes as this moves into the Panhandle of Florida. The Storm Prediction Center, keeping an eye on it, they're about to release a new graphic here on the new risk zones here for the rest of the afternoon. So we'll be getting that information in very soon. But it looks like they're going to paint in the Wiregrass with about a 10% risk of seeing a tornado as that line moves through, which is a higher risk than what we've had earlier. And we'll have to see if they paint some of that down into parts of the Florida Panhandle as well. We're getting a new tornado warning right now.
Oh, there it is, Matt.
Parts of Baldwin County.
It just went off. Man, it's like the setup that never ends.
Right. So we're looking here just around the Gateswood area, moving over the Perdido River, headed just to the north of Molina towards the McDavid area along Highway 95 and 97. This is the area now that has a brand new tornado warning.
11:45 is when that is set to expire. Now, this covers a very rural section of Baldwin County. So if sirens are going off on the eastern shore, and none of you are impacted by this, it's only this little sliver of State Highway 112 north of Gateswood and parts of Escambia County, Florida that are included in that. That would be Bay Springs, McKinnon, Enon, I hope I said that correctly, Walnut Hill are impacted by this. So make sure you understand that you have got to be taking shelter. The Bratt is just to the north of that, so it doesn't include you in Bratt, but it does include all the way up to Walnut Hill and McKinnon and Enon and locations north of Gateswood. Let me pull back up the latest radar imagery. So we're just going to have to, we're going to stay with this. I thought maybe we were going to get to catch a break, but these storms just keep intensifying. But Matt, we did mention that this, if we were going to see trouble, this was going to be the spot, the northern edge of the Panhandle, north of Pensacola. This is the sweet zone for that to happen. I think if you're watching us in Mobile County, there's just not going to be a severe weather threat for you. You're good. As far as Baldwin County, your threat's diminishing. It's going to be this rural section of Escambia County, Florida, that's got the most immediate danger. I know those of you in Daphne and Bayfront Park, you're getting really heavy rain right now along the squall line. All of this, I'll circle it, all of this is going to be moving south towards parts of Fairhope and Barnwell and will continue to march southward. There's no warning for that, but there is for this. And in fact, a tornado warning located in that section of the Gulf Coast. So, and Matt, look at that signature north of Gateswood.
Yep, there you go. That's what the National Weather Service is saying. This tightened up very, very quickly. And you see there right along Highway 112. So if you're in that area, you definitely need to be taking shelter. If you're in the McKinnon area there just across the Perdido River, you need to be taking shelter. Enon area, you need to be taking shelter right now. We have what looks like a very possibly a tornado coming right up Highway 112 there, crossing 112, making its way off to the northeast at around 45 miles an hour. That seems to be about the speed for most of these here today. So, and I'm keeping an eye from the National Weather Service, and that's basically what they said. It said the rotation is significantly strengthened very quickly there, and that's what we call these quick spin-ups. You got this bowing line, and very strong winds along that bowing line, then you get a circulation that could spin up very quickly off of it, and that is what we're seeing right there. That black squiggle you see, that is the Perdido River. That is the state line between Alabama, Baldwin County, and Florida over there in Escambia County. And then you can see on the other side of the line, there are several communities there around Pineville, around Highway 97, McKinnon. So that is all up Highway 97, Pineville Road. So continue to see, we got the cancellation of that tornado warning up in Conecuh County as well. Just to let you know that real quick. And it said the tornado warning for the eastern Escambia County will be canceled, and so that one should be dropped as well. So this is the one that we'll be worried about here, watching here for the next bit as it makes its way across Highway 112 there in Baldwin County. This is that, like Michael was saying, very rural area as we approach the Perdido River. Perdido River is that black squiggly line, that's the state line there, and then it'll move across and into Florida, into the Escambia County, northern part of Escambia County.
This is the state line, as Matt was put. That's the black squiggle. So this is so technically this tornado, or by far, that's the strongest signature we've seen with any storm all morning. So, and we've been on the air for the last 90 minutes. 9:30 is when we saw the first tornado warning go off in George County, Mississippi. And now it's 6 minutes after 11 o'clock. And right around State Highway 112, eastern Baldwin County, possible tornado north of Gateswood. There's the new scan, and it's getting closer to Escambia County, Florida. It will cross Highway 97A near McKinnon, the community of McKinnon, which is near Florida Highway 97. This does not impact Cantonment or Pensacola or any of those locations along the coast. Those of you in Baldwin County, it's only right here in the eastern edge of the county, north of Gateswood. If you're watching this on the eastern shore, I know it's pouring rain right now, and all of that rain is marching south toward Fairhope, but there's no tornado threat in any of that. The tornado threat is here. So if the sirens are going off in Baldwin County, and Matt and I, we can get on our soapbox about this for hours, about the fact that sirens go off for the entire county when only a sliver of a county is in any immediate danger of a tornado. If you're watching us in Daphne or Orange Beach or Barnwell or any of these other communities, if you're hearing sirens, just know that you're not in any immediate danger. The tornado, the possible tornado, is here around Alabama Highway 112 north of Gateswood and about to cross right over into Escambia County, Florida. So you have to make sure when you get these warnings and alerts, when you get them on your phone, you have them set up that you're getting them for the polygon warnings, so when they go off, you know that your location that you're physically at is in immediate danger, and it cuts down on a false alarm ratio. But that is where the possible tornado is. It's headed toward McKinnon. It's moving quickly at about 40 miles an hour to the north and east. I will say, Matt pointed out earlier, that's the strongest signature of any storm we've gotten on the radar the entire day.
And there's a debris signature, Michael.
What, Matt?
Sorry, there's a debris signature with this, so we almost certainly got a tornado on the ground. So something folks over there on the other side of the Perdido River need to be aware of. This is a very strong looking circulation. We're getting what we call a debris signature out of that, which means debris is being thrown up into the air. The radar can actually pick that up.
There it is.
And there it is. Michael's showing that right there. That is a stout debris signature. It is tearing through trees right there as it goes up Highway 112 and throwing them up in the air. That is the debris that we're seeing on there.
So there is likely, it's not confirmed, but I would say with high probability, there is a tornado on the Alabama-Florida state line north of Gateswood, crossing from Baldwin County into Escambia County, Florida, heading toward the community of McKinnon and north of Tennille and about to cross Pineville Road. What we have circled is what's known as a debris signature. That is debris that is being lofted off the radar that the radar can pick up. Likely that is a rural spot, so that may be simply a lot of trees that it's detecting, but regardless, that is problematic. Anyone in McKinnon needs to be in their safe place right now. And you know that's the lowest level of your home, away from doors and windows. If you live in an apartment complex, go to the first floor. The threat is really heavy for McKinnon right now and Enon. Those are the communities that are still in danger where this signature is marching your way. And yeah, Matt, this is what's known as the correlation coefficient. And when you have a signature like that, overlaid from a high velocity. Oh, Matt, look at that. The correlation coefficient just got a new scan, and it's right over Enon and moving near McKinnon.
Yeah, now it's definitely much more problematic, because when it was over there off Highway 112 there, I've been scanning around on the maps, and there's really no homes there on that other side. There's trees. Now, Enon area does have homes here. There are people that live right around this intersection here of Enon at 97 and also at 99, Highway 99, Highway 97. And that debris signature now is over that area. So we are seeing damage happening in that area from what is likely a tornado on the ground. Generally, whenever we see a debris signature that strong, we've always got a tornado on the ground. So this is what we're likely looking at here. It's continuing to work its way eastward, Highway 99. So anybody in this area, in this part of Escambia County, basically, I'm going to tell you, north of Molino, McDavid to Walnut Hill, any of those areas, those are the areas where you need to be in shelter right now, because it's likely we are seeing a tornado on the ground up in this area, parts of Escambia County. Once again, we've been seeing, there it is, that debris signature right there on top of Highway 97. And like I said, just scanning around on the map, there are homes there. People do live here. So this has now moved from what was just an area with a bunch of trees into a community where people live. So this is why this is so dangerous. We need folks to be taking shelter. There is a damaging storm making its way through parts of Escambia County. Michael, just to give people kind of an overview of exactly where we're at, that squiggly black line, once again, that is the Perdido River. That is the boundary between Baldwin County and Escambia County. We are in the northern part of Escambia County here, north of Molino, and so there we go. That's the wider view. So if you're in Pensacola, this is not headed down your way. If you're in Cantonment, this is not headed down your way. This is headed up towards McDavid, Chumuckla, of those communities in the northern part.
Yep.
Yes, exactly it. So I want to give folks sort of an overview of exactly where we're talking about. And that one has been, so far, Michael, looks like the most significant we've seen so far today.
Oh, by far. I mean, you think of I think of the storm, the first tornado warning that went off in George County, even the one around Wilmer. And I just got an alert from a push alert from our station. It says reports a home in the Wilmer area was destroyed as the severe weather moved through. I don't know if that was a mobile home or not. I think that there's probably a higher probability it was, but I don't know that for certain. We'll find out those details later today, so make sure you stick around for Fox 10 later this afternoon for more updates on that. But by far, the biggest danger is going on right around the community of McKinnon, right around northern Escambia County, Florida. So if you're watching us, I'm meteorologist Michael White. Matt Barrentine is on Skype from his home as we continue to practice social distancing. And that's another thing. In this situation, you got to temporarily disregard social distancing. If you need to all crowd into the bathroom, do it. If you need to get into the bathtub, do it. You need to get in the hall closet, do it. Once this is over, then you can go back and resume those social distance protocols, because this is a life and death scenario. And when we're getting debris lofted off the radar, when we're getting signatures that strong, you just have to take action immediately. And Matt, I know you'll back me up on that.
Yeah, that's definitely right. You gotta deal with the immediate situation, and this is it right now. Like we've been talking about, there continues to be a debris signature. When it's this solid for this long, I couldn't imagine there wasn't or hasn't been a tornado on the ground here. We just don't get it to match up like this and there not be one. So we've had a tornado up here. It's just a matter of how much longer it's going to stay on the ground. If it pulls on up, does look like this last debris signature weakened a little bit. So we'll see what continues to happen. Then hopefully that's a trend and not just a blip. So we'll continue to watch that. That's the McKinnon area on Highway 99. Highway 97, Pine Barren, that area, that's not going to be too far from you. We'll keep an eye on to see whether the Weather Service continues to will update this tornado warning polygon, because it's getting towards the edge of it. and they may have to, they may very well likely move it off more to the east. So we'll see how they update this here coming up very soon. I'm keeping my eye on all that right now. Once again, the area of most concern is the northern part of Escambia County, Florida. If you're in Cantonment, if you're in Pensacola, this is all north of you. So this isn't impacting you at the moment, and it's not, this particular cell won't impact you. We'll be watching some other storms coming on down later that we'll be watching and tracking, but the main one that has most likely a tornado in it is moving off to the northeast very quickly at around 45 miles an hour, moving towards the community of McDavid there on Highway 29. So there's a lot to watch here, Michael. There's some more little storms back behind all this. They don't look like much, but they're entering an area where it's been very warm and they could still fire up, and that's what the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center is saying. So let's see. All right.
Did you just get a new update?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm reading from on the chat from the National Weather Service. They are going to extend most likely the tornado warning, what they call downstream, so off to the east. So we'll continue to watch that and see when they pop up that new warning.
Now, I want to show those of you that are watching in these higher populated spots of Baldwin County, the Eastern Shore specifically. I want to let you know, yes, we know the rain is really heavy right now in Daphne, Bayfront Park, Loxley. You're dealing with gusty winds. You're not under any sort of severe thunderstorm or tornado warning, though, which is good news. But all of this nasty rain that you're seeing is going to be marching southward toward Fairhope, Fly Creek.
Michael, we have a new tornado warning now for Santa Rosa County and Escambia County. So we got a brand new tornado warning. I think it's
an extension of the one we saw.
Correct, and it's extended now into Santa Rosa County. So they just
there
updated.
It is.
There we go. And they scooted it a bit to the south too, because it was on the south side of that polygon. So you can see how that's extended out towards Chumuckla, then eventually towards Allentown and Molino. You're now included in this, so it's not north of you. You are included in this polygon.
Yes, Molino, Pine Barren, Mineral Springs. Chumuckla, obviously, you're included in this. Allentown included in this. Those are some of the biggest communities that we're seeing that are in the path of the tornado. Pensacola, you're not. Cantonment, you're not. Milton, Pace, Ferry Pass, none of you along the coast are in any sort of danger for dealing with a tornado. This is the northern edge of Escambia and Santa Rosa County, where you see these red boxes that are known as polygons. That's why we always emphasize, are you in the polygon or are you not in it? If you're in the red box, you have a risk of a tornado. If you're not in the box, then your risk is mostly from just heavy rain and gusty winds. But Matt, let's check that signature, that velocity signature, still strong between McKinnon and Tennille, which is, it's in Escambia County, Florida. So it is out of Baldwin County and out of Alabama, but it is moving toward Pine Barren in a hurry. Pine Barren, I don't think, has a lot of time to be getting in their safe place at all.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Michael. They are going to be seeing this move up on them pretty quickly with things moving at 45 miles an hour. Of course, getting a lot of beeps here. See, so yeah, this tornado warning for that area will go until 11:45 this morning. It's still moving to the east at around 45 miles an hour, and they're saying off to the 8 miles south of Brad or 12 miles south of Atmore. So I think we might have another. Might go on. Yeah, there it is. There's the debris signature still showing up, not as clear as it was before, but it's still there. So as long as the debris signature's there, it's always concerning.
Especially when it's overlaid with the velocity. When you see the velocity couplet look like that, real bright, and then you see the correlation coefficient, the debris signature matching the same location, Matt, I think I would say 9 out of 10 times a tornado has shown up. There's no doubt.
Yeah, so we're going to continue to watch this as it moves to the east. I don't know if we have it pulled up, Michael, but they also, from the Storm Prediction Center, have now upped an enhanced risk for most of the Alabama Wiregrass area. There it is. And it just kind of includes a little bit of, it does include a little bit of Okaloosa County. They've kept the slight risk zone going into, our Florida Panhandle area. So pretty much like as expected here. Will continue to be a rough past lunchtime going into the afternoon for areas east of us. But once that main line gets through, we're done, and it'll be moving off to the east. You can see where that new box is at level 3 enhanced. So, and they're basing that off of what we've already seen here this this morning, that it'll continue to be able to fire off tornadoes like what it has been able to do here this morning. So they're working it down the line eastward of it. So we're going to continue to watch this. We do have that line right now at Escambia County, northern part of Escambia County, with likely a tornado that's been there. And it is continuing to work its way off to the east around 45 miles an hour. So a lot happening out there this morning. We anticipated some severe weather here today, but pretty active all in all here for us. Well, so far this spring, we've actually been pretty lucky. We haven't had these last several systems haven't done anything here, and that's why we've been missing out on some rain. But this was a system has had some legs to it, and it's been able to produce some damage. So there's some damage that's been done here across the area today. And, of course, we're going to be following all that for you later on here on Fox 10 News. Yeah, I wanted to point out that because the surface low that we had showed you during the morning news that was located around Jackson, Mississippi at 4 a.m., it moved east of Birmingham. So we had mentioned that the tornado threat and the severe threat as the day went on would shift farther east. And that explains why the Storm Prediction Center risk zone, why the level 3 is predominantly away from our area. It includes Dothan, Albany, Tallahassee, Valdosta. It does technically clip a portion of Okaloosa County, but overall this level 3 is for areas that are away from us, closer to where that low is maneuvering. That is where the greater chance of tornadoes will be for the remainder of the day, and the severe risk continues to diminish around here. In fact, I think by 1 o'clock it's going to be over for really just about everybody, at least in our section of the Gulf Coast. Here's the bigger picture. There's where the squall line is. It's moving southeast in a hurry. Anyone behind the line, anyone north of that line, your severe threat's done. It's done. If you're to the south of the line, the storms are coming. And the greatest risk of severe weather continues to be the northern end of the Florida Panhandle, and that's where we still have that active tornado warning, which is in play until 11:45. Let me pull up the warning, and notice it includes McKinnon, Tennille, Pine Barren, Molino, Chumuckla, and Allentown. And this tornado warning will be active until noon. Excuse me, I said 11:45. It will be up until noon, so it's going to be up for a little less than 40 minutes as we continue to watch that storm work its way towards the east. And I'll pull up the new velocity display and try to get a look at where the tornado, at least the possible tornado, is. And Matt, that signature really strong as it's about to move right over US 29 around Pine Barren. That's still a nasty signature that hasn't really changed much. Yeah, and Michael, the debris signature's fired back up too. It looks like the debris signature is more intense, so almost certainly have a tornado on the ground there near Pine Barren, going up to probably just going to pass just north of the community of Molino. So just something to keep in mind here. If you're in those areas, you need to be in shelter. We have a serious situation here with a storm that has from the Weather Service, they're basically saying the exact same thing I'm telling you right now. Strongest part of the circulation near Pine Barren, Florida, headed towards Allentown. So we have but there it is. There's that. Once again, what Michael is circling there is what we call a tornado debris signature. Basically, what the radar can do, the ability of the radar these days, what it can do is it can tell the difference between raindrops, which are small raindrops, and it can tell the difference between that and, limbs and trees and, roof shingles being thrown up in the air. And so it picks it out. And that's what these little different colored pixels are. That's debris being thrown aloft by a tornado. So this is going right through the community of Pine Barren right now along Highway 29. And that next little black squiggle, that's the Escambia River that it's going to be headed towards. So it's moving through Pine Barren, headed towards the Escambia River. On the other side of the Escambia River is Santa Rosa County. Chumuckla's there. They'll be seeing the possibility of getting this storm next right around the Chumuckla area. So as it passes across the river there, you can see Chumuckla there on the there you go. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, it's going straight across the river there. So while it goes over the river, obviously there's not much there, the Escambia River, once it goes past Pine Barren. But then once it picks back up over there around Chumuckla, if it holds together, obviously folks do live over there on that side over in Santa Rosa County. And then beyond that, it goes towards the Allentown area here this morning. So that's the areas that we're going to be concerned with. Once again, we are showing a significant tornado debris signature around Pine Barren. Look at that. Michael's pulling up the velocity, and it matches up almost exactly with our couplet. So a lot of people ask, well, how do we know if there's tornadoes? Well, if you don't actually see them, you got to kind of go through with these different products on the radar. When they all match up like this, we've got a tornado on the ground up there, folks. So we are seeing significant rotation. We are seeing a significant debris signature, all matching up, same place, same time, Michael.
Exactly, Matt. And that is what we look for. I mean, unless we have a camera, a sky cam there where we can get a visual, you've got to rely on the radar data. And that's something we continue to do. And in fact, this is what's known as the reflectivity. When you look at just the rain and you want to just see where the rain is, you pull up on the radar what's known as the reflectivity. And Matt, as I look at this squall line, of course, it's pouring rain in Loxley. All of that's tracking south. But where we've got this tornado signature, I mean, Matt, you look at the bend in the radar. Isn't that a bounded weak echo region?
Yeah, and you can see that's what happens, and I try to explain this to people. It's basically centripetal force. It spins the rain out of that area. So that's just another sign that we're likely seeing we are seeing circulation right there around the Pine Barren community. So everything's sort of matching up right there. So even though we can't put eyes on what's actually happening, we can see it on the radar with all these different pieces that we can puzzle together. And we got a tornado there that's moving through the Pine Barren area, like I said, across the Escambia River, going up towards the Chumuckla community right now. So if you're in those areas, you definitely need to be taking shelter right now.
Yeah, that's the inflow, and then the storm, the rotating storm would be right here north of Pine Barren and moving off toward Chumuckla. It's been, Matt, it's been quite a while since I've seen on a reflectivity locally, the storm structure look like that. That is significant. But I mean, you look at the velocity display and it's still wicked. The winds are coming in. Let's see, that's a 68 mile per hour inbound wind, 10 outbound. So that's 78. That'd be Category 1 hurricane strength, blowing right over Pine Barren and moving toward parts of Chumuckla.
Yeah, so it's definitely a powerful enough system that's going to cause damage. So, we're going to have to continue to watch and track as it heads. Like I said, once it goes here over the river, we get a little break here for a minute where it's not passing over anybody's house or anything like that, because it's just the river there. But once it goes over the river, it heads up towards Chumuckla and those areas. Then, of course, we'll come back into a community where folks live. So that's the concern. We want to make sure folks in the Chumuckla area are now taking shelter. There's Highway 182 right where it's Chumuckla Road. That's looks to be the next area where it's going to be headed to. So please keep that in mind. This is going to be headed straight up that way. Once again, this is the Chumuckla area, going from Escambia County, Florida to Santa Rosa County, Florida here as it crosses the Escambia River. And once again, everything matches up here. We have a tornado debris signature. We have a high, we got circulation showing up on the velocity imagery. And of course, we have what Michael's calling, we call the reflectivity, showing the heavy rain and showing the possible circulation in the storm from that as well. So everything matches here together. That's why we want to take this very seriously. Michael is drawing out the forecast cone here with the times. Gives it about 10 minutes to Chumuckla. So that's why we want you in shelter right now. There's not time to wait. I don't want you going out to your porch trying to get video of this.
Yeah, that's not a lot of time.
Completely wrapped in heavy rain.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say that, Matt. Yeah, not a lot of time. You got to take that serious because it's moving so fast. If you try to get video of it, it'll be right on top of you. You need to be in shelter, in the safe place, away from doors and windows, preferably the lowest level of your home, and you got to stay there. Absolutely. And this is the reflectivity. And look at the little donut hole right there by Pine Barren.
Yeah, and so what we've seen here is a storm that was part of a line sort of break off and become its own individual storm, and it's moving to the right. We call these right movers, and these are the ones that can spin up some nasty cells, and that's exactly what has happened here. I'm getting more buzzes here from the chat, so I'm going to keep looking at it here. They canceled the tornado warning for in the back here, the back end of this in the Escambia, so that's about to drop off.
Okay.
And they're going to redraw that box here for us this morning. So a lot happening out there on the radar right now. We're continuing to watch as it continues to track off to the east from through Pine Barren, and now it's moving towards the Chumuckla community.
And if you're joining us again, we're on the air. We've been on the air the last 2 hours because of a tornado warning that started in George County, Mississippi. It moved through Wilmer. around parts of Mobile County. Then we saw the tornado threat diminish for Mobile County almost instantaneously. Then we saw a new round ramping up in Escambia County, Alabama. And now that has shifted farther south into the northern edge of the Florida Panhandle. So we have just continued to see these new sections of the Gulf Coast deal with significant storm threats. Now, if you're in Mobile County and you're north of the regional airport, the rain's pretty much over for you. If you live around Dawes, you're getting some rain. I know you were probably hoping for more. It just doesn't look like it's going to happen. Grand Bay, a good soaking of rain is moving in toward you. Same for Irvington, Biola Battery, but there is no more severe weather threats for Mobile County, Alabama. So Port City and anyone in Mobile County, other than the rain you're seeing moving southward right there south of the airport, it's going to be real quiet. And sadly, because Matt, we do need rain. And sadly, it looks like a lot of Mobile County is going to get, kind of ripped off of dealing with a widespread soaking compared to other parts of the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, I heard the rain on my roof here for about 2 minutes and it ended. So, and I didn't get much rain here in West Mobile, which is unfortunate. We definitely could use some rain out of all of this. We're going to get some nasty weather. We should at least get some rain with it. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case for a lot of us.
Watch your monitor. Our director sent me a message. This is video sent in from a guy named Joel Ash showing tornado video, possibly from Sims. So let's play that. And of course, we're going to be looking to see if that gets verified, but apparently that's around Sims. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, definitely have a funnel there. It's hard to tell if it gets down to the ground, but we do know there has been this is that storm that had a history of damage over in George County. We've also had a number of pictures sent to our Facebook page from George County, so we'll be continuing to break all this down. Usually what happens with these sort of things, you have to go in after the fact to determine if something actually got to the ground, or there was straight line wind. But we do know there was a history there of damage. So that's some pretty impressive video there of what looks like a funnel. Maybe it's all the way down to the ground.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. It may have been a funnel that was aloft and may not have actually hit the surface. Again, at this point, we don't know. We did get reports from our news department that a home was destroyed in Wilmer. That may have been a mobile home. We don't know that yet. That wasn't included in the article. However, that's one reason why we always say if you live in a mobile home and there's a risk of tornadoes, don't be there, because of that thing can happen. And it's just so scary and so dangerous. We're continuing to watch this video that was sent in from Joel Ash driving around Sims. And now it's a lot harder to find the funnel. Watching this guy drive around, Matt, are you seeing it? I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, it's just a darker gray area there. It's hard to see, but they're also, the National Weather Service has now got us looking back over towards Santa Rosa County, because this storm now has crossed the river and is in the Chumuckla area, as it's in Allentown area now. And you can see the brand new severe thunderstorm warning being updated, because they're also seeing straight line winds along the bow, likely of around 80 miles an hour. So that's why they're putting up that new tornado warning box. Now includes Crestview, the Blackwater River area, Munson, right now under a new severe thunderstorm warning with strong straight line winds, as well as watching out for that possible tornado that is near the Chumuckla area headed towards Allentown. Look at that. Still that inflow there, Michael.
Yeah, and it's getting really close. Yeah, the bow, the bounded weak echo region is significant. Checking the velocity display. The velocity couplet still looks good around Chumuckla, Matt. It really does. I'll pull up the debris signature and see if we can see anything correlating. But that thing has really held to get the debris signature is not as strong, though. The debris signature is not as strong.
Yeah, I'm thinking actually, Michael, it's that little cluster you see down there near Chumuckla Highway where 182 hits. There was a little bit of a cluster of debris there, so that's probably where we're looking at. It's also where the couplet is really close together, so that's probably what we're looking at right there. You can see that there where 182 and Chumuckla Highway come together. If we're getting some debris thrown up in the air, that is likely where it's at. I know these radar images get a little bit cluttered at times. There are limits to the technology, so you got to kind of pick through it and just go off what you've seen before, and that's most likely what we're continuing to see. One way or the other, we don't need to get too far in the weeds with that. Most likely, we're still seeing a tornado there, if not a tornado, at least very strong straight line winds of probably up to around 80 miles an hour, which will do damage, blow down trees, knock down power lines, and you really don't want to be outside one way or the other, so you need to be inside in your safe place, away from windows, and taking shelter as it moves right down Highway 182 towards Allentown. So anybody along 182, anybody along Highway 89, along 87 there in northern Santa Rosa County needs to be taking shelter and let the storm go by.
And also remember, one thing you have to keep in mind is that because the radar beam goes in a straight line, and because there's the curvature of the Earth, the radar is located at Mobile Regional Airport. So you think about how far the regional airport is from Chumuckla. The beam goes in a straight line, the Earth curves, the distance ends up great, and by the time you're in a community like Chumuckla, the beam is showing up almost aloft instead of at the surface. That's another reason that we end up getting scans farther away from the radar that are not quite as crisp as they are closer to Mobile. But still, Matt, even that being said, that signature right around Chumuckla and Florida Highway 182 is strong. So everyone in Allentown needs to be in their safe place now. You've seen damage. You've seen what these storms can do for the last 2 hours. You got to take this threat seriously. Anytime you pop into one of these tornado warning polygons, that is when action must be taken immediately. And you can just watch our coverage. We're streaming on Facebook Live and all of our social channels. Just watch our coverage, and we'll continue to keep you updated on all of this. But that signature, Matt, moving into Allentown is still pretty nasty.
Yeah, it still is, and that's the main area that the National Weather Service wants to keep us focused on right now as that approaches the Allentown area. So if you're in Allentown, hopefully if you've been listening, you've already know to get in your safe place. Go ahead and do that because this is fast approaching you. 45 miles an hour, set up right up 182. And keep in mind with there's a little bit of lag between when these radar images come in and what's actually happening on the ground. So you always need to be out a little bit ahead of what we're showing you on the radar because it's coming down the road at you pretty quick. So please keep that in mind. It is headed your way. This is one that's had a history of throwing debris up into the air. And once again, you can still see that tiny little bit. But like Michael was saying, we're getting pretty far from the radar site. So whatever's happening here has to throw the debris pretty far up into the atmosphere for it to be picked up. So that's still very concerning as it makes its way up, basically parallel with Highway 182 there in Santa Rosa County. So, Michael, it's been a long last few hours here. We've got an outbreak here of a number of likely tornadoes across the area. We're starting to get in some of those damage reports. We're going to continue to put those together for you, letting you know exactly what's happened this morning. But it's still ongoing for folks here in Santa Rosa County.
Absolutely. We'll pull up the watch warning map again, and you can see the tornado warning has been redrawn. It's still active until noon, so for the next 23 minutes, and it includes a rural section, not Pensacola, not Gulf Breeze or Milton or Cantonment, but right around the Allentown community in Santa Rosa County, Florida. So northern Santa Rosa County, still underneath the tornado warning until noon. Allentown, you need to be in your safe place. Hopefully this will be the last tornado warning we see in our area today. Can't promise that. Hopefully it is, because you saw in the Futurecast by 1, almost all of the rain is out of our area and will move offshore. But in fact, I'll pull up the latest version of the Futurecast in case you missed it the last time we ran it. There are the storms, and you can see by 1 o'clock, they're pretty much all gone. And then by 2, the sky starts to clear. So, I mean, we just get rapid improvement today as we see these storms fade away, which is what we want. What we wanted was beneficial rain, and parts of the area like Mobile County just really got ripped off on that, sadly. I mean, northern Mobile County got a good shower. Grand Bay are getting one, but like Dawes, parts near the regional airport just haven't seen much, or it was just very brief. And after this storm moves through, there isn't going to be any rain for the rest of the week. We might get some this weekend, but we're going to be in for a cool, dry air mass beginning later this afternoon and into tonight. In fact, we'll be in the upper 40s when a lot of you wake up on your Wednesday morning. But the reason we're on the air is for the next 20 minutes, we still have an active tornado warning in parts of Santa Rosa County, Florida. That includes Allentown. It is a storm that is still really nasty. And Matt, look at the shape and structure. You know, we're still getting off the radar with this.
Yeah, this has been a very consistent storm as it's made its way through the panhandle here. It started actually over in Baldwin County near the Stapleton area. We'd actually been looking at it, but right before the tornado warning went out, because it was bowing out, was looking pretty strong here, and then it spun up very quickly, a tornado, and then it worked its way across the Perdido River, then eventually into Escambia County, and then over now into Santa Rosa County. So we've been tracking this one for a good ways. Still showing a very small debris signature. Once again, any debris that gets thrown up right now, since it's so far from the radar, is going pretty high up. So actually might be switching over the
Eglin Air Force Base. Yeah, it's coming off the Eglin radar now, which will improve the accuracy of it, because Eglin is closer to Allentown than Mobile is.
All right, so yeah, we're continuing to track this toward the Allentown area, right up Highway 182. And then we'll probably end up tracking this over into Okaloosa County as well, because this one's held together pretty good, and we'll continue to watch as it continues to work its way to the east. Barrentine Park, where this was going through, now there are spotter reports coming in of oak limbs and things like that down, so it's possible that we could be seeing some damage out of the Barrentine Park area. We'll follow up on that as well. Obviously, parts of the area where this went through are pretty rural, so hopefully didn't hit anything major. But obviously, even in the rural areas, we have homes, got people living out there, so it's why it's still very concerning as it continues to work its way to the east.
Well, here's a little something that looks a severe thunderstorm warning was issued for locations to the south of it. Now, this does include Pensacola. This does include Milton, Cantonment, but this is going to be for a straight line wind threat, not for a tornado threat. The tornado threat, Matt, appears to still be isolated to only that Allentown region around Santa Rosa County, Florida. This is going to be from the main squall line that's continuing to march its way southward.
Yeah, and watching the latest velocity and debris signatures here might be weakening. So keep my fingers crossed. One scan doesn't tell me it's weakening. You cross your fingers and hope it's a trend. Still looks pretty vicious there on the regular what we call reflectivity. Yeah, still got good inflow, so we'll continue to watch. Might just be transitioning here for a moment. Folks in Allentown, though, you need to be taking shelter. Munson, even though you're outside of the tornado warning box, if you're in Munson, please go ahead and get in shelter as well. Make sure everybody gets in shelter because this won't be too long from getting over to you as well. Let's see. So, yeah, they've extended it as a severe thunderstorm warning, which is always a better sign. So the National Weather Service is seeing likely some looking at the same thing we are looking at with the velocity and with the debris signature. When those things start to weaken, they can put up a severe thunderstorm warning rather than a tornado warning, but that doesn't mean that doesn't change fairly quickly. So we have to keep an eye on it to see if it tries to spin itself back up.
Yeah, that's what we have to keep watching for. The velocity appears to be, Matt, fading. I'm doing a loop. See, that's 1133, and then you can see it just kind of peters out. So it looks like the chance of a tornado moving into Allentown is decreasing, and I think that's why the Weather Service put up a severe thunderstorm warning to extend the box instead of extend the tornado warning out farther. So yeah, as you said, I think that's a good sign. This warning is still active till noon, so we'll stay with it. But that is a good sign that the worst of this whole thing may be over, which we hope it is, because once this squall line that you're seeing moves south of Pensacola and moves into the Gulf, then that's it. Then we're not going to be dealing with any more severe weather threats today, and we won't have any for the remainder of the week, which is fantastic news. And quite frankly, I don't know about you, Matt, I'm looking forward to the 40s coming back tomorrow morning.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we got all summer to be hot, so I'd like to see some cooler weather as well. We're going to get it pretty quickly. I know it's been kind of a long morning. A lot of folks been watching along with us here this morning. We do appreciate that, and that's exactly what we're here for, to get you through this. And it's not too much longer. We're going to get through this, and we'll be moving on. We'll see some much better weather after all this. Right now, once again, the main concerns there in Santa Rosa County. There is still a trailing line of all this that's going back off to the east over into around the Seminole area. So we'll continue to watch that trailing line. But if we're going to get any really nasty weather for the rest of the day, it's going to be more likely over towards the Wiregrass region of Alabama, over around Dothan, and then in other parts of the Panhandle, say around Panama City, over towards Tallahassee, Albany, Georgia. And you can see Michael's.
Yeah, they got a tornado warning around Eufaula. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're getting one up there. So that's the next area where they're likely to see some stronger storms as that line bows out. Things are going to weaken down their area. We just got to get through this last little bit. That'll probably take till right around 12 or 12:30, and then things will begin wrapping up. Michael's been showing the future cast, and basically all the rain was completely done by 1. But even earlier than that, probably about 12:30 or so, any chances of severe weather will be pretty much done as well.
Exactly, Matt. Yeah, I was just reading something from the Weather Service Twitter, and yeah, Allentown right now dealing with a very nasty storm, heavy rain, but the tornado signature that we were looking at earlier is weakening. Now, that does not mean that a tornado is not necessarily there. It just means the probability has decreased that we're seeing any problems. Checking out the debris signature on the radar, Yeah, I just think unless it's right around Harvest Point Drive, Matt, unless it's right around this southern portion of Allentown, I think it's obviously a lot weaker than it was when it was located around Molino. It was much, the signature was a lot heavier there than it is right now. But I do think that as we watch this, we'll have to continue to see if the scans improve. But I really think that we're going to be looking at more of a straight line wind threat from this point on than we are any additional tornado threats, because the signatures in the last few sweeps, and there's a new one, just aren't really what they were a few moments ago.
Yeah, it definitely does not appear that way, Michael. So that's, once again, we'll take whatever improvements we can get. We know there's still some strong straight line winds here regardless, but if it's an improvement when it's not a tornado anymore, and that's most likely what we're seeing here. But once again, it can pop down. No, we might be so the National Weather Service saying they've received video of a large water spout on Mobile Bay over social media, so we'll be checking on that as well. Of course, you can get tornadoes spinning up on land. You can also get water spouts spinning up on the water. So we'll check into that as well. Not really surprising on a day like this that we would see some water spouts around too, to go with everything else.
Exactly. So if you're joining us again, I'm meteorologist Michael White, broadcasting from the studio. Matt Barrentine broadcasting from home. And we've been on the air since, well, I've been on the air, heck, since 4:30 when the morning news started. But we started seeing tornado warnings going off at 9:30, starting in George County, Mississippi, right near Lucedale. Then we started seeing the tornado warnings push into Mobile County, specifically right around Wilmer. And then we started seeing the problems in Escambia County, Alabama, and that is what has dropped south into the Florida Panhandle. So the only tornado warning we've got right now, which is in play till 12, is for this one right here in Santa Rosa County, Florida, around Allentown. This does not include Pensacola, doesn't include anybody on the beach. But you're seeing these gold colors. That represents a severe thunderstorm warning. So your risk does include straight line winds that can knock down trees and power lines. We can have those winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. We just won't get a rotating signature. And the farther west you go, the further you are away from that center of low pressure that's in East Alabama, the weaker the line. Look what happens once you go past Mobile Bay.
We got the
there's some
video.
Heavy rain in southern Mobile County, but definitely not the intensity we're seeing farther east of I-65. And all of you in Mississippi have now gone dry. Leakesville to Pascagoula. Not only are you not dealing with a severe weather threat, your rain threat is diminishing. So, Matt, it'll be interesting to see what the final rainfall totals are when they come in later today for spots inland versus spots coastal, especially in Mobile County. I just don't think they're going to end up with a big rain total. And with us expecting, beautiful days ahead, that's really not going to help with the pollen count for those spots. But I know our friends on the Florida Panhandle, even though the severe threat has been awful, if there's any upside, we've needed this rain, and it is really going to help with the allergy issues we've seen over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, that will certainly be a good thing. I'm actually checking out some of the waterspout video. We're going to try to turn this around and get this on air for you, but we have a video that's been posted to us here, a waterspout over Mobile Bay. It's a pretty good looking waterspout.
Was it recorded off a camera, or do you know, or was it recorded by a civilian?
So a viewer sent it in to us on our Facebook. So we'll get that out here shortly. Let you see that as well. We do have some waterspout video here from a waterspout over Mobile Bay as the storm moved over Mobile Bay. The storm that went over Mobile Bay wasn't even all that strong, but it was enough to create a waterspout because it's a lot easier to get a spin going over the water than it is over land. So that's why we see waterspouts pretty commonly. Once again, Michael's got this on Highway 87 up there in Santa Rosa County. You see that red box? That is a tornado warning. We are still under a tornado warning there. So that will continue until noon, and then we'll see what happens after that. We could see that drop off, and fingers crossed that that'll be our last tornado warning of the day here.
I think there's a high probability it will be, and and after 2.5 hours, I think that'll be fantastic if it is. But we've still got heavy rain, gusty winds around Muskogee, Cantonment, Pace, Milton. All of that's tracking south toward Pensacola. But the only tornado threat left is right around Allentown, and it's a dying threat, and that warning is only going to be in place for the next 10 minutes. So sooner rather than later, we'll be able to hopefully wrap up the severe weather coverage, get you back to programming, and sort of resume the day. Mobile County, hey, you got some heavy rain around Biola Battery, Dixon Corner, south of Irvington, South Orchard, Sunny Grove, south of Theodore. That's a good soaking of rain that'll really help out with the pollen count. But you go north of Irvington, Dawes, and anyone north of that, it's done. No additional rain is coming until at least the weekend, and even then it's going to be periodic scattered showers. It just doesn't look like we're going to be dealing with anything very significant at all. And on the Facebook page, Matt, we have the waterspout pulled up. That's the Mobile Bay that was sent in from Melinda Lee. Guys in the control room, thank you for that. And you can see the waterspout is clearly visible. Are you seeing it, Matt? Or we were. Now clearly, we've got, I don't know what that is.
It's a very short clip. It's only about 10 seconds long, so it jumped off of it. But yeah, it's definitely visible. It's a stout-looking waterspout here. National Weather Service, a new update here. Good, glad you had it focused on there. They're not going to extend that tornado warning. Basically, it's straight line wind threat. Here's once again a look at that video of the waterspout over Mobile Bay.
Yeah, that's it. And that was from the storms that were tracking southward. They didn't produce tornadoes on land around downtown Mobile, but over the bay we were seeing those waterspouts. Now, later today in our news department, we'll find out more details on this about what happened specifically in Wilmer and what that home was. It didn't say in the article whether or not it was a mobile home or not. I'm fairly certain it had to be, and even straight line winds could have ripped that apart, but we'll know more on that later today. So make sure you watch at 4 and 5 this afternoon on Fox 10, where we will have more coverage on damage and things of that nature. I just thought about this. Let me check it may be too soon. But storm reports, we have one that's officially come in from Thomasville. Of course, they saw a straight line wind threat this morning at 8:25. Several reports of trees down in and around Thomasville. Matt, have you seen anything in the chat about any additional damage in other areas?
No, I'm keeping an eye on that. No. The main thing is right now that It hasn't been dropped off our system yet, but the red box there up in Allentown, the warning has been allowed to expire.
Great.
Or it has been expired. So that one is done. So right now we don't have any tornado warnings over our area. We do have several severe thunderstorm warnings still ongoing that we're keeping an eye on. But we don't have any more tornado warnings. That red box will go away here in just a minute. But the National Weather Service has said that they are expiring that here for Santa Rosa County as we continue to see that storm weaken. But they did mention there's still 80-mile-per-hour winds, straight line winds that are possibly in that. So it's still a Boeing segment right over the town of Milton right now.
And that's all going to be marching south toward Pensacola. And we'll continue, of course, to put the information on the bottom of your screen with that with our weather crawl, as well as on all of our social media platforms. Assuming we don't have any additional tornado warnings, we will go back to programming. Those of you in Pensacola, understand this squall line is marching toward you. Heavy rain, gusty straight line winds in excess of 60 miles an hour is heading your way. But we're not really dealing with a rotating storm threat and no tornado threat. Matt, this has been different. You know, I don't think we've ever done severe weather coverage together where we're in two physical locations. But with technology nowadays, it proved it worked. And you were a wonderful asset today. Thank you so much for all your help. And you'll be coming in this afternoon, right? You'll be doing the 4, 5, and 9.
Yeah, I'll be doing the weather here for you this evening. We'll have all the summary, the updates, and exactly what occurred today. We'll have some of the damage what happened around the area, give you that good overview so everybody knows what happened out there today. Thanks, Michael. All
right, bud. We will see you then. And I'm meteorologist Michael White here in the studio. Thank you for watching our coverage. We'll take you back to programming. We'll keep the weather crawl on at the bottom of the screen for more updates on what's left of these storms. And we'll have all of the updates on the storm reports, the damage, the video, the photos, all coming up later today on Fox 10 News beginning at 4. Matt Barrentine will have those weather updates. I will be back on the Fox 10 Morning News tomorrow, broadcasting for the rest of the week from my house. And I will see you then, and I'll see you on social media. In the meantime, have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Stay